you have to provide corporate services at institutional price. So that's one area which we as a hospital have been focusing from 2002, that we have to provide corporate services. The pricing has to be affordable. It has to be in hospital for all. And when designing market, when we design a hospital, the accessibility aspect, integration of services has to be first of all foremost, which we need to look into. That under one roof, the patient get all the services related to the health need. That's one area. Then is the machine. You cannot compromise with the quality of machines and the manpower. These are the primary aspects which we need to look into. I personally feel, and our ideology as a trust is not to spend too much on the frills, not to make it a five-star facility. Let us make it a more accessible, comfortable, more value-added kind of a service where people can be really, sometimes when you make a very big facility and very gorgeous facility, people sometimes it takes time for them to actually step into the facility.
Yeah, they may get scared.
Yeah, step into the facility, especially for the purposes where the charitable organization actually working towards. Because in our hospital, when designing, and the ideology is that treatment for each and everyone, there is no refusal concept. Even if a patient is there with zero money in the pocket, they have to be treated. And so there's a mix and a balance which we have created into the system, which we are working with. So I think these are the main important components in designing.
Right. Yeah, people-centric. I will now request Dr. Piyush. Yeah.
Good morning to all. Thank you to Srinath sir and everybody for inviting me here. For me, any the charitable hospital, for the designing purpose, it needs initial investment, but the initial investment maybe a charitable hospital may do, but is to sustain that investment, and that includes the bring out the running cost. So the model should be such that it becomes an autonomous body. It should have a sector of maybe around 20% where we can earn from our rich people, and around 80% we can do a charity. From the designing point of view, we should have always a scope of enhancing the infrastructure. So we should have a space where maybe down the 5 years or 10 years, we have a scope of expansion of the architectural design. And the most, we need to keep ourselves updated in terms of machine, in terms of manpower. All the faculty are updated to the latest technologies, machines are updated so that we can deliver the best of the technology to the patients. If charitable doesn't mean we should compromise on the quality of treatment. So these all things should be kept in mind.
So moving with the times. Yeah. Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Subramanieshwar now. Sir, you take this mic.
I don't know if charitable is the best word to use in this context, because it's something that can be very easily misunderstood. In the West, it's always called not for profit. NFP is an abbreviation for that. Whatever we call it, Indians like the word charitable. So I think I really resonate with what Aditya was talking about. It's important to cater to everybody. Otherwise, the basic viability, the design, whether it's architectural design or manpower design, it has to include everybody. So basically, I think we have to choose a disease and not choose class of people, for which you need to plan. I just had a look at the institute, and it actually looks exactly like ours. A block which was developed initially, and then the expansion happened. So there should be scope for expansion, and there should be place for the richest, because they are the ones who continue to fund these places. Build a very scientifically perfect place, not spend too much on anything. At the same time, absolutely no compromise on instrumentation. If a robot has to be there, we should not think that it's only meant for the richest. It has to be extended to everybody. So unless there is universality in science, social aspects should not dominate over science. Only then the so-called charity hospital will be able to match the corporate and take the pressure off the government institutions. So what is also important is to have hyper-optimal utilization of infrastructure and manpower. You have 10 operation rooms, and if you do 700 procedures per month, every viable. Manpower also is similar. Take dedicated people and make them work much more.
Right. Yeah. As you rightly said, the rich also should come here because they are the ones who are going to provide the funding. So you mean to say the nomenclature of charitable will have to be discussed and then maybe change it so that even because sometimes the rich may feel, oh, it's a charitable hospital, I should not do. So they may have some apprehensions to come. Yeah, there's a very good point, sir. I would now request Major General अपनी बात किया, but now you have any other aspect point to be said?
Yes, I mean, this has been discussed that it should not be charitable. It should be a hospital. And the aim should be cutting edge technology, skilled manpower, and affordable cost. Availability, accessibility, and affordability. All these factors has to be kept in mind. I read, that when you design a charitable hospital, you should cater for more general wards, but no, then it will not be sustainable. In fact, we landed up in such a problem. Our hospital to start with having more general wards and all, but now we are constructing, more private wards also, so that other people also come. Because in due course of time, when you reach a stage like this hospital or any of the cancer hospital, where if there are good doctors, then even the best people like I've seen in Jaipur that people at the first time go to Tata and from there they are advised that why don't you take treatment in Jaipur because faculty is from Tata only. So you have to have very skilled manpower and design for the rich people also so that it is self-sustainable because donations doesn't come every time. I mean it comes initially with the purpose and after that you have to maintain that or create a situation where which I will further give you one or two ideas that how you can have continue to have donations on this. Thank you.
Thank you. So words of appreciation, words of mouth also will help. I would now request Mr. Sundar Vaswani for your inputs.
Hello. Congratulations, Dr. Srinath sir, and your team for this lovely 1 decade of Shiva. On the architectural planning part of it, we were fortunate that our ex-director, Dr. Mr. Mengani, he was a genius in civil engineering, and hello, yeah, he came up with a design in our Arvasan Missions Medical Complex in which he created a self-ventilated ducts in the hospital. There was a hospital round, and there was where we had the cafeteria or the waiting area, which today we thank him for it because it gets self-ventilated. You don't get a smell of the hospital in our 3 buildings. Another important point what Dr. Piyush said about the maintenance of the equipment. I was in touch with a very senior person from various medical systems who have got their best senior accelerators. He mentioned that whenever you are installing an expensive equipment, which is stationary, please make sure that the whole environment is dust free. Because dust is the biggest enemy of all electronic equipment. Once it goes inside, it can never be taken out. I thought this is a good forum to share his experience with you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Now, Dr. Basraj.
I think again I'd like to congratulate Dr. Srinath for bringing all of us. As Shankar very rightly put it, it's a mini India. So we have ideas from all over, including the north and the south. Various different types of people around. To answer that your question, we are a 48-year-old institution. So we started as a 15-bed center. The idea was to provide, services as the idea was to provide, class services in a center where services were not available. So it started as a 15-bed, and then, as Subbu said, we started adding blocks. So looking at the architecture, we had just the place. The whole idea was never in the first place to have a 150-bedded center to begin with. So if you have an idea of having a center, so the whole center should be planned in such a way that we'll have expand and make it a 150-bedded hospital to begin with, because then you'll have a place for sewage treatment, you have ducting, you have ACs, we have rooms for the special modes, we have the rich people to come in. That's one thing. So the idea of having an architecture in a time which was almost 50 years old was adding blocks. So we started with the radiotherapy center, then we added surgery, we added chemotherapy, then we added other machines. So it was in terms of blocks. But because we had enough amount of space, we are functional. If you don't have space, then you want a new bunker, then it becomes difficult. We had cobalt to begin with, so it was a 4 MB. We had the wall thickness was not much. Now you have a 16 MB Linac, then you have your whole bunker size changes. You need the infrastructure. So if you want to build the architecture, plan the whole thing as a unit to begin with. Okay, and second thing is, as Subhu very rightly mentioned, or as Vijay already mentioned, it is not charitable. It should be not for profit organization. This is a very important thing because charitable means we are doing it for charity, and everybody expects everything to be free. That should not be the point. It is not for profit. You are not making profit out of it like a corporate, but you are not doing everything for free.
So the mission and objectives will have to be thought out. Thank you, sir. Dr. Sharma.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Srinath. My comment will be short, but covering most of the aspects of the charity. Charity means, which I have practiced in my life with God's grace and encouragement. Charity has got no boundaries. Maybe charity in the any sense, maybe for the food, maybe for animals, maybe for the human beings, or maybe a charitable cause. In our Adhyatma Vedanta, uh, clear cut, there is a saying that you do my job, I will take care of it in every sense. The Gita says like this. So nothing to worry. We have imbibed the idea, and everyone who comes into charity, most of them have got, some of them, they have got a personal accident mishappening in the personal life, and that could have diverted them to do something for the society. And this charity service should have no boundaries, no sentiments. Just believe in God. He will create the means. He will open the doors. For my example, not that I should be proud of it, uh, we started going to the villages for community service, combined health service, basic health service. Then uh, government got impressed, village people got impressed, and they gave us few acres of land free of cost to build a hospital. This is one of the chamatkar charity gives you. Then Puja Shankaracharya of Kanchipuram, he happened to be in Vrindavan. We requested him to, I believe in blessings of the Mahapurushas sent in. So 89, uh, 2nd June, Shankara Cancer Center was established in that piece of acre of land, and Shankara Cancer Center was given the name. Since charity was there with us, we approached AIMS faculty members. They happily started sending their faculty team to this center for carrying early detection and screening and all that. Now, coming to the end, once again I say that keep your conscience intact to serve the people, look after the interest of the people. God will create the means for you. And in that path, today, I'm at a platform that God has uh, made me to us, contact doctor, come in contact of Dr. Srinath, and so on. Uh, that is one of the achievements of the charity. Thank you very much.
Right, sir. Karmanyavadikaraste Mahapaleshu Kadachana. Yes. Okay, very well said, sir. Now, Mr. Mani.
morning, all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Srivan, for giving the opportunity. Even there was a discussion about the charitable institution. So even the nomenclature doesn't matter actually. The purpose of charitable, this is a ulterior motive of institution. What is the purpose of the institution? Using the word charitable doesn't is not wrong. It's a legal term we are using it. What is being put in our Social Registration Act. See, whether it is a charitable organization or as a NGO, as an institution, we have to make a self-funding model. It has to run its own. We need to have a fund for our future growth. In particular in oncology, we have evidencing a lot of technology upgrades. The cost is very, very high. In India, we don't have source. Even the equipments we use, the sources we use, radiation sources we use, the molecules which we use for treating, all majority of them are we are depending on outside the country, and that is where the cost of cancer treatment is high. It is not that hospitals are charging high. It is one way. It is we don't have units which can produce and we can reduce the cost. So probably future we have to Indian hospitals have to think of backward integration and start our own molecules. I think all the research are going on. Still, we are having majority of the molecules which we are using, we are getting it imported. Even people are preferring that whatever you call it is targeted therapy or immunotherapy, everything. We don't have molecules. So, as coming to the main point, whether what is the future of this charitable institution? To successfully running a charitable institution, we need to have high and productivity have to increase. How we are utilizing our Dr. Subramanian Sarao has rightly pointed out. How many surgery per surgeon or how many surgery per theater we are trying to do it. We have got, I think 50% of the cases only getting reported. In India, we don't have a complete systematic reporting of all the cancer incidences. I believe more than 50% is unnoticed. So we can have, you already have a complete basic structure. I've seen in the video. So you need to strengthen your all your outreach program, do high volume. Then only cost can come down. How you manage your cost structure within that. Then it's generate excess fund for your technology upgradation. Even you need to train your people. You need to take care of people. We need a funding. We cannot purely commercial. At the same time, we cannot be free. If you free, one day it's going to halt, and you will be obsolete, and you will not have fund for even upgrading your building or even machineries or even retain your talent people. Ultimately, all the needs we have to address. So to address this, we have to build an organization which can perform high level number of surgeries we do, number of volumes, even quality of clinical outcome. Everything we have to see, we have to play in 360 degree. Whether you are a charitable or you are NGO, whatever name you call it. So your survival is going to be based on purely based on your performance, what you are doing, what is your long-term strategy. Right now, you have got, I've seen that very good structure you have built it. Another 5 years, where you are going to, how much, what is the target you are putting, not in terms of commercial, I'm telling a number game, I am telling you. Where you want to be, what is your vision? Are we increasing our, mostly we have seen, everyone will agree. Majority of the cases which we receive, mostly reported in, we detect in third stage or fourth stage, advanced stage. But we as an institution, what I am doing to pick up those in early stage diagnosis, like with various programs, where we can come out with various ideas like satellite centers or associates, like a pyramid structure you need to create from the bottom to top, complete feeding of patients, where we really bring the patient, diagnose the patient in the early stage, where we can really treat them in with low cost. Those things can help the charitable institution to grow.
I think the performance is very, very important than whether you are charitable or not. This is my view.
Right. In your talk, you initiated the discussion on the funding part of it. Now, when the funding happens, the donations and everything are important. Yeah.
Can I add one point?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Initially, what we started in maybe in 1980s, like a community cancer and research center. And that time we used to take biopsies and the minor procedures and used to send the patients to Tata Hospital. But the then director of Tata Hospital, Dr. Praful Desai, was good friend of my father also. He said, there is no point in starting just a community cancer research center and sending the patients to Tata Hospital for the radiation or surgery. So you start a comprehensive cancer hospital. So then the idea got into our mind, and then we started working on it, and then we built the comprehensive cancer hospital. But then, regarding the architectural point, he said, that time we started with cobalt. But with keeping in mind the futuristic what is going to happen, we built a bunker 25 years ago because yes, 25 because we are completing 25 years of our hospital this year only. Uh, so that time we built a bunker. So now we are replacing the cobalt machine with a new Linac, second Linac, because one Linac is not sufficient. So 25 years only we built the bunker, and slowly we saw that the future, because now building the bunker again, it's a big infrastructural cost and it's very difficult. Second thing, a charitable hospital or any hospital, you should have a big land also for expansion to develop the different departments like
Dr. Baswaraj also mentioned about that.
lung department, breast department, neurosurgery department. So if you don't have the land in your possession for expansion, then it becomes very difficult to progress for the hospital. So these points have to be taken into consideration. Second point is the hospital environment should be very airy, basically, because cancer, there are a lot of smells in the hospital. So if you build it in that particular way, the hospital remains very clean, neat, and the patients won't get annoyed with the.
Right,
So
sir.
that's about it.
Yeah. Now, Manimuthu briefly touched upon the funding part of it. Now, can anybody throw light on the funding aspect? Which is the most difficult thing to happen. You can have a lot of big plans. Yeah, you can. Yeah, go ahead.
Now, what I have gone through the historical aspect of the hospital where I'm working is that initially a lot of people came forward for the funding, and after that there was a slowdown. But hospital became sustainable. So, but development was a question. So then we divided a strategy. Firstly, you can get fund for patients, and I want to share you that in 2014, we did these statistics. Why there is a dropouts in case of cancer treatment? I am sure you also dropouts. So, to my utter surprise, we have maximum dropouts in the children, which really surprised me because I used to think that people may not spend on themselves, but they spend on the children. And then what we created a scheme, donate a life, donate a life, which has become very popular in our hospital. We have taken three cancers and we select the patients. They have to be curable because if I take donation from you and give you a report, then it should be that the patient should get cured. And we all know that the in the children, the Hodgkin's lymphoma, the AML, and all they are curable. So we took these cancers, curable cancers. Initially, our trustees gave us 1 crore rupees. But today in that fund, I have sufficient fund for next 10 years, and we have taken 190 children on our treatment load. 130 are cancer free. I mean, I have brought their photographs if we can screen there. So that encouraged us. Now IndusInd Bank gives us 1 crore rupees every year for this. We are their customer also. You have to give them business also. So that day to day is being run. And then Jindals gave us 10 crore rupees. So we have placed that money into that account. So we got encouraged and we took second project, that is the screening part in the ladies mammography and cancer cervix. Then we took CML because in CML also patient when they don't continue the treatment, they fall sick and relapse, and the relapse is fatal. So we started providing the treatment to them free of cost, which is I mean it costs only 20,000 rupees
per year for a patient, but he doesn't pay that also. So there are 8 welfare projects in Bhagwan Mahavir Cancer Hospital, Jaipur, we have created, and they are all on donation. Then came is when do you plan equipment? So we divided a strategy like the variant and all. You can easily get in reach the break-even point very fast. So we are buying from hospital or maybe taking some loan. But when I did the organ specific treatment, we have head and neck division, we have breast, we have, so we wanted to create neuro-oncology and ortho-oncology. So for both the microscope and CIAM and all are required, and we were finding it difficult to finance it. So we went to Power Finance Corporation, projected our case, and we got 2 crore rupees from them for both these machines. So like this, case by case, you can get fund even subsequently also. That is my call.
Right, sir. Yeah. Anyone else would like to join in? Yeah. Let him finish, sir. Yeah. It's a very important point, I think.
Yeah, I think the way we went through was a little different. It's called Indo-American Cancer Hospital because the American Women Association, the Telugu Women Association, expatriates who actually migrated from here, took up the challenge, and then initial money came from there. It was started by the legendary actor N.T. Ramarao in memory of his wife who passed away to cancer, and it was her wish basically. So initial money came from there, and then a small segment of the hospital was built in a 7-acre land that was given by N.T. Ramarao when he was the chief minister. So we expanded very slowly while the vets actually funded the rest of the development. So this is something that was very important because, as Sir said, funding later on becomes not easy at all. And once you have a reputation, you should not be asking for money. That will actually deplete your status and image in the society. That's when we built a third block. Second block was funded by the Tata Trust because they were very impressed with the work in the first block. So reputation is something that was built, and the third block was built to hold the cream, so-called cream, because once there is a lot of rush, when it overflows, the cream is the first thing that goes out, and they are the ones who are important because not just because they pay without asking for a concession, without actually any hassles. When they see other poor patients being treated equally well in the intensive cares, they are on the next bed, taken exactly the same care. There are enough wonderful people in the community. What they need is their hard-earned money has to reach places where there is integrity. So they come while they recover. Some of them don't even recover well. They tell there is so much of hardship here. We are ready to donate. They'll pay the whole thing and then ready to donate. So it's important to get the rich people who can part with their hard-earned money and create that needs a reputation which has to be maintained on a continuous basis. So that is a huge big responsibility. The whole team has to be galvanized for that. Only Srinath, Professor Srinath, cannot do it. So he has to create a team which believes in one philosophy. And once that happens, I think we do not get people think that we are based on donations. Today, we have a 12 crore fund for poor patient waiting to be spent. Every year, 5% of the actual revenue goes into what is called Basavatarakam Nirupeda Nidhi. Nirupeda means absolutely poor. So it goes into that and it's going on accumulating actually. So we don't need to spend because that's how the viability is. And in that hospital, with hand on my chest, no cancer patient goes untreated. What you need is not anything else but cancer. We don't treat anything else. We treat cancer. So it's possible.
Right. Very well said. Yeah. Sir, I'll just come to
Whenever
you.
When the hospital, when you are reconstructing for infrastructure, people come forward to give your donations. But once the infrastructure is done with and you want to buy equipment, then the donations don't come that easily. And second thing regarding donations, from whom you are taking the donations is very, very important. Because sometimes you get donations from people who actually are the producers of gutka and other things
So
which can cause
integrity is a very
cancer.
important
And
aspect.
then
Yeah.
it makes a negativity regarding the hospitals that these people have taken donations from these guys and they are building the hospital. So you should be very, very careful from whom you are taking the donation.
So
That should be
integrity aspect is very important.
On
Yeah.
that count, I think in the West, Virginia is a state where which is very popular for the best form of tobacco. It's called Virginia tobacco, which is also there in some parts of Andhra Pradesh. Actually, they have a major foundation which fights cancer, and that is very much acceptable there. They keep on producing tobacco and keep on treating the patients who are there. So
Yeah, Mr. Manimuthu, you wanted to say something.
Sorry, I think they have covered the point. One is the donations or grants we can expect one time to establish your infra or your equipments. But I don't think that anyone will fund for running day to day for in terms of salary or medicines or consumables. So here the strategy should be like to maximize your resources utilization, and that should generate fund. And there is one right now I can cite some example. Aravind Eye Hospital. What they model they built, high volume, low cost. That's the model they built, and almost 60% of the patients from it was initially 40. I spent nearly 9 years with them. It was 40% only the paying patient, 60% will be free. Now it has migrated. People are volunteering, paying. Now it's become 60-40 from 40-60. It's indicates that people are willing to pay for if you provide a good service. This 60% supports the 40% of the poor. And intellectually, they have used two models. The theaters, to increase the volume of surgeries, they used assembly line method, where average surgery per surgeon in India averages they say about 400, but Aravind it is 2000. They could maximize the number. Similarly, the number of OP patients seen by a doctor. I've seen my consultant will take nearly 1 hour to complete one patient counseling. Yes, it's needed, but we have to see that those 70% of the work, like I used to say them, that the initial registration or investigation, those things can be done by other people, even paramedics or junior people. Where the consultant can go for final diagnosis, where he can see the maximum number of cases. Of
Right.
course, I believe for oncologic volume is there. We have to go and reach and bring them here and feed to our system. Our systems utilized to the maximum, and our entire team also works to that
Right.
maximum.
Delegation,
That will,
right?
yeah, that will fund. We can't run the institution always looking for external fund.
Right.
Now, almost in all the schemes, in Government of India schemes, Ayushman Bharat, everything, they are fairly covered. Cost to cost basis, they are fairly covered. I don't think we have any problem in treating diagnosis treating patient, either the Chief Minister Relief Fund or Prime Minister Relief Fund or Ayushman Bharat or all central government scheme. All cancer is well covered. Even now, even they are accepting robotic surgeries also in all insurance also. So as an institution, when you wanted to grow, you need money for many other things. And how do you economically utilize your resources? How you maximum output you get it?
Productivity is very
How do you save those money and invest those things for your growth? Particularly in terms of acquiring new technology or sending or you want to send your doctor to radical therapy or some training abroad. It will be very expensive. Where do you get fund? You have to do the activity, you have to do the maximum number.
Right.
So rather than looking for a one-time grant or fund, activities we should make a model which is self-funded, activity-based.
Right.
That will be a long-term win for even to the institution
Right.
and also for the community.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think before, sir, one second, sir. Dr. Sharma, I'll come to you, sir.
just one point.
Yeah, yeah.
All the institutions do not depend upon grants and donations
Yes.
once they are
I was
established.
coming to that, yes.
What I feel they should create their own corpus. Every month they should keep aside some money in the corpus so that
Training.
whenever it is required, you should utilize that money for your upgradation of the hospital.
Right.
Second thing is regarding the income tax exemptions from the central government of India. Unless you have this 35 AC, 35 1 2, 35 2A, people won't give you donations. And if they get benefited with these kinds of exemptions, then only you will get the donations. But hospital should remain on its own with
Have a
their own
separate
funds.
corporate fund for the self-development. Yeah, Sharma. Yeah, it's not wasting, sir. You're giving us knowledge.
As our colleague pointed out about the 100% tax exemption, 35 AC, this charity enjoyed the permission for last good 20 years. Offers were there, 400 crores, 500 crores, every time. I'm very frank, we are sitting in a family. They want kickback. I was practically called one of the party in Bombay. Doctor, this is 5 crore, 4 crores you give me, 1 crore your hospital will be built up. I said nothing doing, I'm away from that. Anyway, another aspect is I read out this will be more so entertainment for you because things are getting very serious when money part is there, and money begets money. So most of our colleagues, with due apology, they are money people. That's why people are being attracted to give big donations. This is a hard fact, but I apologize for this repeatedly. Dilemma of charity. I take this opportunity to thanking Dr. B.S. Srinath immensely for his great innovative initiative provided all of us on common platform for first time when we are participating in such a symposium panel discussion organized by different charities who are fighting the war against the cancer in their own ways and with their kind efforts. You will allow me to put across my experience during this journey of charity work for past 40 years. I'm 80. 40 years my life is spent for charity. Believe that God selects the lucky people, enabling them to discharge their noble duties in allaying the agony of the suffering mankind. Out of such dedication of yours, in exchange, the reward God gives you your name, good fame, your wealth, and above all, we live the life with entire satisfaction. That is the God gift with the charities. Though there is hardly any need to blame anyone for our hurdles, hardships in long journey of our social charitable strength, yet this is obligatory and mandatory for the success of this ideal symposium. Thus, I try to put across the entertainment of this August gathering with my experiences. A man of 80 goes to bank, seeking bank to loan towards meeting out the procurement of cobalt linear accelerator, replacing the cobalt unit, which we are working with for last 20 years. And this cobalt we got out of Government of India funding, 1 crore under the radiotherapy development. Now, after 20 years, we started dreaming to have a linear accelerator for a place, for a small cancer center, 100 bedded charity cancer hospital, covering 8 to 10 districts of Western UP, 2 to 3 districts of Rajasthan and Haryana. And we have got quite good amount of patients strength and all that for treatment. And we have sanctions almost in almost all the registrations. Maybe Niti Aayog, maybe this your corporate ministry, or maybe any. We have got the registration, FCRA even. Yes, FCRA very interesting. 2 3 times I had opportunity to present my papers of grassroots work in international conferences. I took the opportunity with the idea that I should mobilize under FCRA some overseas donations. One time there was a bhukamp in Karnataka only somewhere, long time. Second time after a couple of years I planned Then there was a bhukamp in Gujarat. So I did not have the courage because environment different.
Right.
So this is how, but I had the patience. Bank manager further asked, what about assets of security? I said 1 acre land I will give you for security and the unit itself linear accelerator. He said nothing to me, sir, because you have been donated free by the government, so we can't dispose it. We can't recover the our loan back from your charity. Again, bank manager asked why. What about collateral securities from your honorable members of the trust? Uh, uh, Trust members should come forward for pledging the FDs, immovable properties, etc. Our reply was, trustees who have unwillingly paid the membership fee and come to attend the trust meetings uninterestingly, we cannot think to ask them for such a favor. And any one of
Very true.
us can raise issue asking, why have you not tried with the government grant for the government? My reply to them that no door has been spared without knocking to get the grants. Maybe um, anything, any government department, maybe state or central. 10 years have gone to convince the state government of India that under a scheme for development of infrastructure, development of the cancer hospitals, there is a provision that any charitable cancer institution run by the charity for 3 years is entitled to get 42 crores for setting up TCC, Tertiary Care Cancer Center.
Right.
So 10 years was wasted in convincing them. Ultimately, they got agreed. Then they say only condition that it has to be rooted out through the state government.
Right.
So another 10 years I wasted in impressing upon the state government, in spite of the fact that 2014, 2019, and this year 2020, the very good reports from district commissioner, from CMO, from other things, they have reached to the government, but I'm not. And I take this गुरु भगवान कृपा, प्रभु कृपा है, वो चाहते हैं कि अभी हमको ये सब चीज ना मिले. हाँ,
Yes, Doctor.
एक बस कंक्लूडिंग.
Yeah.
उसके बाद मैंने कहा चलो ठीक है, यू हैव ए प्रोग्राम, नेशनल कैंसर कंट्रोल प्रोग्राम एंड नेशनल कैंसर tobacco control program. We have been carrying out it for last 20 years in the community, in rural areas, and every possible organization we have. Still, we are carrying without any support. So why don't you fund us for oral cancer screening and tobacco control in district Mathura? They said, Government of India says nothing doing. We have no provision for funding for screening and early detection for the charities. Then I approached PMO. Maybe something internal pressure or something. Then the director of this National Cancer Control Program replied me. We congratulate formal words for the good thing you are doing, like other corporate donations, they also reply like this, and ultimately they regret it. So he said that we have already established a state cancer center in Lucknow and one TCC center, Banaras or somewhere. So nothing doing. You should be happy with this. Then I replied him, nothing doing. It's just nothing doing. It's a wastage.
Yeah.
So you should have another choice to set up a charitable tertiary care cancer center in some charity.
Right.
They did not reply.
Right.
About the screening part, don't be impatient, please.
Others, I would like to. Don't think otherwise. I would want some more views. Yeah.
I have to show my ugly face, not owing you. Uh, Central government says that go to state government. If you agree screening program, you can carry it. I wrote to the state government. He said nothing doing. CM of the district will be helping you, or you can carry out the program, but without any financial support. So this is my uh, bold story, not miserable story. Anyway, on this platform, I leave some request that something like these small charities can be projected to any of the government or non-government potential donors. I will be grateful, and the success of the symposium will be the one. Thank you.
Sorry for intervening, Dr. Sharma. Now, I would like to bring in Mr. Aditya Murthy, Dr. Piyush Kumar, Mr. Sundar Vaswani, and Dr. Baswaraj, because you have not spoken for a long time. So, you very quickly, 1 or 2 minutes, sir. I think we'll have more subjects to cover. Regarding the, you can just get into the costing part as well as the service performance and other aspects like the accreditation and things like that. We were just discussing about the funding part of it. Yeah, from where you can start and then.
So I would just like to say, every organization has its own way of operating, so generating of funds, and we all know without funds nothing can work. So when we started in 2002, so my father, who is the founder and the managing trustee, so he had a very clear vision that because starting when privatization of education, we basically were the educationists as a trust when we started. So the first day of meeting with the AICT secretary, his concepts of charitable organization and self-funding organization was made very clear. So it is you who have to generate funds. It is you who have to operate. So there's nothing, no support from government you will ever get, or you will get as a charitable or a self-funding organization. Going from there, when we started in a hospital in 2002, the vision was very clear that it's going to be a non-profit organization. It is going to be a charitable hospital. So now, how do we meet the challenges in regard to funds? Then only we have decided to make it a medical college, and so in 2005 we started a medical college, and from day one the fees which was generated, it was set aside for meeting and providing low cost treatment, subsidizing the treatment, having free beds. So till today we are very self-sufficiently, we are managing it in a very balanced manner, and I'm very proud to say that we have 400 beds on which we do not charge any money from the patients who are coming, and whether it is cardiac surgery, cardiology interventional procedures, renal transplant, cancer surgeries, uh, radiation oncology, whatever patients are coming. So we are able to meet out because the vision is very clear. It has been translated to every person in the organization. This is how we operate. We have given enough autonomy to every consultant of ours that it is you, when you are sitting over there, you don't need to come to me to decide whether you want to treat the patient free of cost or you want to charge the patient as per the hospital rate list. It is very clear, set aside, concepts are very clear from day one. So no doctor, no consultant comes to us asking for sanctions, or there's a committee which signs up. If there's a consultant who says free of cost treatment, free of cost treatment. So we have been very, in a very transparent way, in a very simple way. So our ideology, if we see things simply, in a simple manner, things will be simple.
Right.
So that's what we operate upon.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Aditya. Dr. Piyush, your views.
See, I am basically a clinician, a radiation oncologist, so having no contacts with rich person and no thought of bringing any donations for somebody. So, but I think how can I contribute for donations? So I can use my knowledge and skill. So how do I use my knowledge and skill? The cancer patients who are advanced stage, still no protocols have been developed, and we are failing in this. So why don't I develop a research protocol and apply for the research grant? So as a clinician, I should promote the research grants from the government of India and go ahead with the patient treatment. This is one of my proposals.
Very nice, sir. Mr. Sundar Vaswani, you have been silent for a long time.
I'm sorry, I'm not a doctor, so I can't give you anything on
No,
the medical part.
non-doctors' views also matter a lot because that's how a common citizen thinks. Yeah, that's pretty important.
On the hello, yeah. On the operating front, I would like to cite my own hospital example. We used to use
Can you just hold the mic a little
Yeah.
closer? Yeah.
the most important part for any medical equipment is chilled air conditioning. And we must move with technology and try and save every unit possible because power costs are going up. Equipments want more and more power. So we must move on with the air conditioning part of it, which needs we give chilled air conditioning, the breakdowns are lesser. We recently used from Blue Star and Kirloskar chillers, their non-magnetic bearing chillers, which have reduced, and we must completely avoid using air-cooled ductables or air-cooled chillers because they drink power. And we've been able to almost maintain our own light bills for the past 6 years at the same cost, despite adding a linear accelerator and MRI. So we must think of these newer technologies with these big companies, which help us to save power and which is eventually even saves genset diesel. So when the lights go off, we have to give air conditioning to the patients. We can't tell them now switch off the AC because the lights are off. And avoid air conditioning in areas which are public areas. Because for a charitable hospital, that becomes a big drain. We have a hospital in Pune, not our hospital, which got their whole hospital air conditioned, and then they realized that they had such lovely ventilation that they didn't need air conditioning. But because they made it a glass type building with everything shut, they have to use air conditioning and they have to pay for the power, right? So air conditioning costs could be curtailed.
Yeah. Okay. That was what. Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Let me start with Dr. Gosari. Regarding taking funding from the tobacco, as Subbu already put it, we have just started a 30-bedded hospice center, and this has been funded by the Gutka manufacturers. It is the point here. What I want to put across is, it really for us, what really matters is the funding, not how they earn it. They have the idea that they want to start something is a great thing. What we want is funding, and I agree with Sue 100%. If they have the mind to give money to you for something good, take it. That's how I take but that's my take on the tobacco funding. That's one. Second thing regarding what Dr. Sharma said about TCC, we also strived for getting TCC. Actually, it is one fourth from the state government and two thirds from the central government. We got the state government approval. Then we had the central government, committee come in and they gave the approval. And the state government gave us the funding, which had to be matched from the central government. So it came to that. And finally, when it came to the and finally when it came to the central government, the government changed, and the TCC which was there got scrapped. So this went to Nirma Kesari's table. My file went to Nirma Kesari's table, and I get a letter from the finance minister saying that the TCC has been scrapped from this year. So the 5 years of whatever push and pull that you have done was down the drain. That is about TCC. The next is the point about again. Initially, the funding definitely comes for the infrastructure. So when you want to put a bunker, when you want to put beds, you get funding. Then onwards, when you have to have equipment, then again there's a big wall that you hit. Now coming to that wall, how you want to go over that wall, or how you want to take that wall is one is to through CSR. What these people who are giving CSR is, yes, that is social responsibility of any company. But what these people are also looking at is their visibility. So if you make their company visible, they're happy to give it to you. So I got a funding for my equipment in the hospital through Canfine Homes, and I renovate. I got all the equipment, beds and all that, and then this was written everywhere on all beds that this was given by Canfine Homes. They are happy, so that we get funding. So I am planning to have a mobile unit with a. I am already working on that with a donor, because then it becomes visible for everybody. That's number two. Number three is we are also looking at Rotary. So these non-governmental agencies, they have got what we call as international funding agencies, funding partners. There we do have, but there it is limited to, as one put it, to one particular equipment. So that also is being done. And finally, if we want funding from people, and as Chief Justice Venkatacharya just put it, it is integrity. And integrity really takes a big plus point. If you have that integrity, then you get the money. I think that
Yeah,
should
yeah.
put it.
I'll give it. I'll give it to you, sir. Integrity and the source of funding, very delicate terms. So the gutka manufacturer also can have an integrity, right? So you go ahead, sir. Yes.
Now coming to USI donations now, I would like to focus on cost reduction. Regarding the cost reduction, basically any hospital, maybe it corporate hospital, charitable hospital, or whatever, private hospital also, most important and difficult departments to handle are store and pharmacy. These are the two departments, and third is human resource. In store department and pharmacy department, there are always problems. So there you have to do the cost reduction. You have to see that how much you are earning in each department, and accordingly how much you are going to spend, and how much you are going to do the uh, purchase of the reagents or other drugs in cancer hospital, especially in radiation department and blood banks and histopathology and biochemistry. You have to buy a lot of things, so that should match your income and expenditure. So that is about store. And secondly, regarding the pharmacy also, the trustees should have a very close eye on the pharmacy department. That is a very problematic department. Third is human resource. I am a doctor, I am a surgeon. Still, I can say doctor's ego is very sky high. So, for the trustees to keep the doctors happy, it's very difficult. And I myself being practicing in a semi-urban area, it is very difficult to get manpower, especially in nuclear medicine department, radiation department. It's very difficult to get these people. They don't want to come to these places. They want to settle down in cosmopolitan cities and all those things. So you have to manage them also very carefully, and your HR department should be very effective. So these 3 points I want to.
Yeah. So we have almost cost reduction, skilled manpower, both aspects covered in your talk. Now, very quickly, anyone can chip in about the cost reduction, the skilled manpower, and thereafter we'll go to the final stage, and then we'll take questions from the audience. Yeah.
Now, one point which I appreciate, Aditya, is that creating a medical college and doing the reduction is very fine, but everybody cannot do it. The situation differs from place to place, and if you want to achieve excellence, then something or other. So, one thing about the donations which I want to tell you, in Bhagwan Mahavir Cancer Hospital, we have a parallel organization, cancer care organization, headed by a senior vice chairperson. She looks into three aspects: the counseling of the patients through the counselors which she has employed, and the financial help to the patients wherever needy. Because if you put a board that this treatment is free, anybody will come and stay, which we all know. So they do really screening in the ward to these ladies. And third is celebration of survivors day, so that people understand about it. Now coming to the cost reduction, what we did is we got entangled with NCCN, and we gave our annual consumption requirement to them, and the cost has really come down into that. So if all cancer hospitals look into this aspect, that we procure bulk procurement, and very rightly the surgeon said that doctors are difficult to manage, that position comes. So if that can be addressed, and a medicines bulk procurement, because standalone cancer hospitals can join through NCCN, which is a legalized body, and procures the medicines, it will be much cheaper in NCN, National Cancer Grid, NCGs actually.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
So coming on to the consumer end, so about the HR department, I am a faculty in a institute. So I feel it's not difficult to manage me from the HR or the administration. And after the couple of years, now it's been 15 years, I realize why. I have been spent my whole schooling in Delhi or Lucknow, and now I am living for last 15 years in a small village called Ojipura. It's a small rural area, few kilometers from Bareilly. So how did this sustain me actually? The day I entered the college, I was given a full furnished flat, nothing to be spent. I was given a plumber to take care of my plumbing, an electrician to care of my electrician problems, a ward boy, everything. I had just to walk in with a suitcase. Then I realized I had no tension regarding my hospitality or the household works. They got my children admitted in the best school of the Bareilly. So no tension of the admissions. For how to go school, they have a institute bus who is catering to my students and bringing on time. So now what I have left with the problems? I have left with the problems of only the patients. So I have to devote totally my life and my time to patients and nothing else. Salary given at par with all the institutes, nothing less, nothing more. So don't have any reason to leave. Now, such are the faculties in our institute who has come, and I found the strategy of the management. इनकी आदत बिगाड़ दो.
नहीं,
So
हर
if they-
हर एक डॉक्टर का satisfaction level अलग अलग होता है.
So उन्होंने हमारी आदत बिगाड़ दी है. Now when we go for a second recruitment, I find out, okay, do I have to take care of my household works? Will I be taking, अच्छा ये तो plumbing का matter है, बच्चों की education. So I found a good salary structure, but I think that I have to take care of all those activities along with my patient work. And then, coming on the professional satisfaction, if they are providing me the best of the technology, they're giving me true beam with all the radiotherapy aspects in a small village called Bhojipura. I have an aerodrome in Bareilly, so I'm connected to whole world also with best of my professional satisfaction. So this is how they are maintaining the HRship.
आपका content level is pretty good. I think the content, it's the content aspect in terms of money, satisfaction. So it all depends on how each individual, be it a doctor, take for the life. Yeah, right.
Advantage for Aditya is Piyush. So presence of Piyush himself, and not everybody is like that. But having said that, I am both an administrator and a very active surgeon. I operate every day and control the administration through multiple other administrators. It's not difficult to handle people, to be very, very honest. If you make them feel wanted, make them feel respected. It's indeed important to choose a leader from people whom you have interacted with, whom you have understood, whom you have heard about. A leader has to be chosen. For example, Senthil Rajappa, who is a very popular medical oncologist in the country. He is somebody who had actually signed into a corporate hospital, and that corporate hospital is a very tough place. They even take you to the police if you have signed and you violate that agreement. So I went to that organization head, he happens to be my father's friend, and told him, with folded hands, I told him to leave this gentleman because we need to build a unit there, and that is a 20-year program. He's somebody who has all the qualities of service, scientific fervor, academic zeal, and everything. So I got him released there, and then now he has built a 15-member medical oncology team. We pay them not as much as the corporates, but after that, after recruiting him, getting him released and bringing him here, I have never interfered with any recruitment. I only countersign. I never signed any medical oncology. Same thing with other departments also. So I think it's important to choose lieutenants. Sir is a senior army officer retired, so we understand. You choose your lieutenants and allow them to fly, allow them to soar. Your institute will be looked after by them. What you need to do is to monitor, because some of them can deviate, and that is a very, very simple job. So when this becomes a culture, it spreads. So if you go there, what you get is respect, and what you get is academic atmosphere. And then the other method of holding good people is development of academics, courses in everything. So when you have students, there is a weakness for teachers. There is enough number of people whose weakness is teaching. So they will be reluctant to shift to a corporate hospital where everything has to be started all over again. Once you are 50, you just want to stay back. And once you start publishing, that's something that I have done over 12 years. And we boast of the highest number of publications in a private cancer care in the country. Our publications reach 100 per year. So it's not a simple target, and we insist and we promote people who publish. Apart from people who are patronized by patients. It's not patient patronage alone. It's important that you encourage people who have scientific bent of mind. So a real intense academic atmosphere, an emotional atmosphere where you are one for the other and you are a family. I think it's very easy to run these things.
Right. So high salaries are not the major thing
Absolutely
for
not.
retention. That's a very good.
Sir, I'll
valid
just take
point. Yeah, please.
one more minute. I 100% agree with him. Delegation of responsibility and authority, both are very important. Coming to retention of each class is different. Doctors, they require patient treatment, freedom, and academic atmosphere. In the hospital, Bhagwan Mahavir Cancer Hospital, we have DNB. We have 6 seats maximum in the country in the surgical oncology, 3 in radiation oncology, 2 in medical oncology, and 1 in pathology. Now, there were a lot of difficulties. They were not giving me in the radiology and anesthesia. We have asked into that also. So academics, then the research, publication, having conferences. We are having BMCon, Bhagwan Mahavir Cancer Hospital conference since 2015 regularly on some or other subject where we invite everybody. So that is how the doctors remains. Coming to the non-clinical staff, they, if they are looked after as far as commensurate salary. I'm using the word commensurate. Everybody may be thinking of a very high hike, but if they are told that, look, what you have been given, what you deserve, and make an atmosphere which is friendly, they will stay. The retention can be made by little efforts.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll come to the final comments. So, the way all of you have responded to the various topics raised during the discussion, I'm pretty sure all of you consider yourself as a successful. Now, hi, sir.
Hello. Of course, we all are beggars. Giver is only one. I leave a standing request, humble request to those who have been established very nicely their cancer setups. Any obsolete equipment you find going to send it to dispose, if with minor repairs, if you consider uh, that would be nice to send to the institutions like us who are in remote rural areas and devoid of any resources. This is very important. Kindly give it as a serious thought. Not only medical equipments, even the patient related fixtures and furnitures or office related computers and other things, programs that will help us, like a small charity, will be getting great impetus and encouragement out of this. Another important point which is not covered in this symposium is Dr. Sinath and others, we should project to any concerned agency that oncology course for nursing, undergraduate nursing should be included. And PG nursing, oncology nursing should be more common. And institutions like yours, you should start the nursing training in your own nursing training colleges, PG, medical oncology, nursing oncology, or whatever it is oncology. So these 2 points, please kindly take care of them.
Right. Now, one final comment about the success of when you consider yourself as a successful charitable hospital. That's the point which I want. So, I will not use the word charitable. Maybe all of you should discuss together to change the nomenclature of charitable into a not-for-profit or whatever it is. I'll start with you, sir. Very quickly, 1 minute comment, and then we'll take questions from the audience. Yeah.
Yeah. To consider a hospital, maybe a corporate hospital, charitable hospital. Successful hospital is how many years you are in the standing.
Longevity.
Yes. When did you start the hospital? About 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, and how you are running the hospital. Second thing is, what are the developments you have done since the beginning? You started with a small hospital and now you have become a large hospital with all the departments with latest equipment. That is more important. Third thing is academics. How many papers, how many conferences, how many international symposia, whatever you have taken for the conference. That is also very important. These three, 4 points are very important in the development of the any hospital, and we can consider it as well. Only money part should not be considered. That's what I feel.
Vitamin, yep. Okay. Next one. Mr. Aditya.
Thank you. I think success is something which is indefinite, and it's like a process. And there are goals which you need to set, and if you're able to, the short-term and long-term goals you're able to achieve with time, within the stipulated time, then you can say yes, you are successful. And the biggest success for any hospital, whether it is cancer or any hospital, is when you start, when you start realizing the society trusts you. The patients who are coming to the hospital, they trust you. They trust you in a way that yes, my life will be saved in your hospital, and you are able to reciprocate in the same manner. So I think the success for any clinician or for any hospital is very simple. Thank you.
Dr. Pierce.
So I'd just like to echo the same thought that we cannot be anytime at any point successful. Success is a journey, and we can just audit a journey by simple, what I would like to see, making a graph. And you put any parameter on the graph, whether it's a patient care, it is whether the retention of the faculty or the students, the feedback or the money, the graph should be always going up. We do not matter about the slope. The slope can be slow or the slope can be steep. But any parameter you want to weigh, just audit whether your graph is going up. So that may be a success story.
So raise the bar. Yes, sir.
I think some of us have trust in the name itself. So trustworthiness, I think, is the greatest quality, whether it's your friend, your parent, your child, or anybody like that. So one quality that is important is trustworthiness, and that is something that we need to adhere to. So if you look at independent India, at independence, 81% of medical education and medical care was with the government. Now it's just the reverse, the ratio is. Because the government did not prioritize it. First 5-year plan was agriculture, second one was again agriculture, third one was industry. So never was health considered as an industry. So the private had to chip in. Private actually helped government relax. And what happened then was the corporatization, which really cramped the lower middle classes and the middle classes, who are probably the most sincere citizens of this country, who had to be taken care. So the relevance of such hospitals, all of us belong to. Here it is headed by Professor Sina. So I think he is tremendous. And once that trustworthiness is developed, and if you can actually become the number one hospital in Bangalore, viability comes in automatically. If you are rated as one of the best, your second opinions will give you enough money. So for that, I think the current generation of consultants and the staff have to work very hard. After that, it becomes easy. That's what we are going through now. 22nd year into it, we don't market the hospital at all. There is no marketing division at all. We maintain the hospital. So once you reach that corner, I think you have evolved and you will stay.
Right, right. Vijay. Yes.
But in our hospital, we made three criteria, and I'm very happy to share that we have achieved that. One was that our cure rate should increase. Initially, cure rate was, cure rate and the death and all these things were almost same. So what we are doing is doing the screening and trying to catch the patients at the early stage, going into the village, Dhani and screening. So that is one criteria. Now our cure rate has increased. Even for AML, there was a high mortality. After creation of a separate AML ward, the mortality has come down considerably. The second is the retention. We have consultants now who are in the hospital. Hospital will be completing 25 years of more than 20 years because we are looking into their requirements in whatever form it is. Man management, that is the part of it for the retention. The nurses, we have provided them accommodation, so that is one thing which they were looking for. Even if somebody gives them, because new cancer center comes, so they pick up the nurses and technicians of old cancer hospital. So by providing them accommodation, creating accommodation, they are being retained. And the another thing is that we have our patient flow has increased. Now we have about 15,000 registrations annually. So we were with 8,000 and we have reached that journey. So that means people are not going to other centers. So that is, these are the few criteria. Though there is no end to it, we will refine it in time. Thank you so much.
As a marketing person at heart, we always say a satisfied customer is the best salesman. In our case, we could say a cured patient is your best publicity. So we must, as sir said, keep striving to cure patients, increase your cure rate. Automatically, people will come to know and they will come to you for a second opinion. Then they'll realize that if your costs are low or competitive, they will stick on with you. Thank you.
Right, sir. Very crisp.
Several points already raised. Wonderfully said, Piyush, that we should. Success is not, one end point. Success is what you strive for, and that striving for, and it is like swimming. There's never an end to it. You don't reach the other corner, but you enjoy the swimming part of it. So I think you enjoy the challenge of being successful. And Subbu very nicely put several things that to be successful, your patients have to be treated well, and to be successful you have to retain your manpower, and to retain your manpower, as Piyush put it, see that they're happy. So to keep your patients happy, to keep your doctors happy, and to treat them well is most important. And what we have in Tier 2 cities is to see that the patients are treated well. We have a lot of dropouts in patients. So we have to see that the dropouts are low so that we are ensure that the cure rates are high. Number two is to keep the doctors also, the referring doctors also in the loop, so that the once the patient goes back, a lot of times they don't have the money or the support to come back to the hospital. So they should be kept in the loop regarding what the patient treatment has been done and what the follow up have to be looked at. And I think looking at Nagaraj and Srinath exchanging looks halfway through, I think they're already thinking of nursing, oncology nursing. The looks told me a lot. I spoke volumes. I congratulate you.
Doctor will speak at the
I
end. Yeah.
congratulate you in advance for that. Thank you so much.
Dr. Sharma ji, everything is
मैंने पहले
भगवान
बहुत
के हाथ।
समय ले लिया था, अब तो मैं ऑडियंस पैनलिस्ट सबको मैं प्रार्थना करता हूँ, जब मौका मिले और आपका सौभाग्य उदय हो, मथुरा पधारें और मेरे को कष्ट दें। दूसरा पॉइंट है कि वो मैं भूल गया।
Your most important point was God will take care. You just karmanya vadikaraste. That's a very valid point which everybody will take it up with money.
As an organization, I would like to put it like this. There are different kind of people we have in our country. One is who are extremely poor, who can't afford anything, but they need help. There are second kind of people who are, we call it middle income group, or who can afford to some extent. And there are other group who look for quality, who look for, I can say, luxury or anything. If we can make a model, structure it in such a way that you address everyone's problem and your gates are open. Even poor, yes, we have a mechanism to treat them. If we can pay, yes, you can have a subsidized treatment. Quality of treatment we won't differ. You can differentiate in terms of the facilities or amenities or which we can avoid or reduce. People who are affordable, yes, they can go, they can opt for. That fund can be grossly subsidized to the bottom, the poor people. Such kind of mechanism where as an organization, if you successfully have a solution for all these three segments, I think that would be good. Yeah,
Right.
that should be the focus of
Criteria.
charitable, whatever we call it as. Even as oncology advocate, we should do. Everyone should do that one. We cannot live just like that.
याद आ गया
हाँ,
आपने
बोलिए
आधा
बोलिए
मिनट
बोलिए बोलिए
surgeries on payment basis we finished within 1 lakh, giving fee of surgeon 35,000, anesthetist 7 to 8,000, rest we get only 8 to 10,000 profit towards the hospital. Radiation part we charge 55,000 for the complete course, and once the course is complete we give the patient back 15,000. So in 14,000 complete course we are managing. This is charity.
So I think
And free patients under Ayushman Bharat from 3 crores of population all around Mathura we are getting, and we are treating them free.
wonderful. So I think
And
that-
those who are not covered under any scheme, we request the people like you, big people, just sponsor this chemotherapy expenses. Chemotherapy part, hospital charges only 15,000 no, 1,500 to 2,000 for 1 course of chemotherapy. Patient buys the chemotherapy from our store, where we request the suppliers to get these drugs, anti-cancer drugs at the 20 to 35 subsidized rate, percent subsidized rate. And more so, I'm very happy, very happy, very happy.
on that count, I would add a few words. I think I was a panelist in the Indian School of Business, Hyderabad. Our hospital was chosen as a case study on its viability, basically, because 55% of patients are treated free of cost. Some funding comes from government, advocacy, and things like that, but they are treated exactly the same way. The same stapler is used. Robotic surgery in prostate and partial nephrectomy is done even for a ROBC patient, wherein you get 40,000 rupees. The disposables cost 2 lakhs. So this is something that we have envisioned early. We have shown surgery, especially in our hospital, headed by me. 52-member team works relentlessly on about 8,000 patient surgical procedures, cancer surgical procedures per year. We sustain huge losses. I am a loss-making man for the hospital. Still, I continue as the director of the hospital. But what I would say is, surgical oncology is generally the face of the hospital. And I'm not wondering why Dr. Srinath is the boss for this place. It's a frontal elevation of the hospital. When you want to buy some building, you look at how it looks first. Same thing with marriage also. But many times you may regret later on. But see, what maintains the hospital are the rooms inside, how well they are maintained. So the surgical oncology department brings patients. Even if you sustain losses, these patients get injected onto the machines and to the daycare units of the chemotherapy. So we have 6 linear accelerators treating 600 patients per day. And 250 to 300 daycare chemotherapies happen. 650 beds are full at 11 o'clock, all working days. That is because we have a 32 consultant surgical oncology department. Very glamorous specialty, loss-making specialty. But it doesn't really. Yes.
In previous years, was known for only surgical oncology. When Dr. Praful Desai, Dr. Paymaster, Dr. Jasawala, they were ruling the departments, only surgery was there. When Madam Dinsha came in Tata Hospital, then radiation oncology department got the name, and the patients were started referring to for radiation, then chemotherapy. But main primary focus is surgical oncology.
Surgical.
Hospital gets name after surgical.
Professor Desai's time, all over the country, it was surgical oncology. So it's not dominance. Basically, it's multidisciplinary. It's important. See, the other important aspect is all of us are on a payroll, sir.
Right.
So I think fee for service is something that can stimulate consultants to do more, but it can spoil the atmosphere in the hospital. There can be an unhealthy competition in the hospital. This is something that I've heard too, cutting down my own pay.
Right.
So So charity begins at home. I have a huge offer to switch out, but I've not done that, so people stay back. So it is important for newer centers to have a everybody on the payroll, including the head of the institute.
Okay.
All the surgical department, radiation department, and chemo department, they should have a good harmony and good cooperation with each other. And that's what I feel. That makes the department successful and the hospital also.
Final comment, and then we'll go to take questions. Yeah.
I think I am the only radiation oncologist in the forum.
You need to cooperate.
And you seem to be the most content person around. So not to worry about
So
it.
I'll take that in our institute, it's the radiation oncology, heading the flag of the oncology with the colleagues, but we never had oncology. We are moving all together because sir has correctly said it's a multidisciplinary decision and treatment. Thank you so much.
Yeah, questions? Yes, there. Ali, Mike will come to you. Please identify yourself. Yeah, sir. You're right. Allah, illon thon bani. Illo.
Very good afternoon. I am Professor Mariappan. Uh, Currently, I am a professor at Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. Currently, I'm setting up one university for Apollo groups in Chittor. I just wanted to recollect something 25, 26 years ago. I was the manager of Bangalore Institute of Oncology, where Dr. Srinath was the managing director of that hospital. Whenever we see the patients, as all of you pointed out, the eminent speakers, at the last moment, after exhausting money, after getting a final stage of disease, they come to the hospital. We see that they either clinically they can be treated or financially they are able to afford. Anyway, a team of doctors who are excellent people used to treat. At the end of the day, the bill comes. The patients do not have money, and I take the bill to sir. He is the managing director. You see the bill 50,000, 60,000, 70,000. There is some bill as a surgeon he has done. What he does, he take the pen and strike out his piece. Whatever is can be the piece, he strike out first. Then he say, Maripan, you 10% on the hospital bill also. He do that and put his signature. Bill will be passed. The charity started there. I'm just trying to bring it out that we say charity means it starts at home. Here I have seen. I wanted to bring this to a kind of system, how it can be established and where it can lay. As an individual who started developing this kind of practice, it becomes values. That value is the foundation for creating kind of vision, mission, goals and objectives and strategies for so many years. In his whole career, now he has come to this stage and created kind of model hospital because of that values which he believes he follows. I wanted to bring small attention to all the eminent people are here. I study number of hospitals across the country. I have a chance to visit not only in India but abroad also. See how many hospitals are being able to successful. Even if you are efficient enough to do, are you allowed to do? There are so many questions you can ask. All of you have very intellectually, with your experience, you brought out this. During the demonetization, I noticed that quite a number of small hospitals have been closed. Later on, GST has come. There are so many people have struggled. Christian mission hospitals, so many have been closed today. Why all this happening? Are we really understand what is healthcare organization? All the external internal factors. In addition to that, you should take care of the patients. I was reading an article about how
So kindly finish quickly.
just 1 minute, sir. You may have to give me this one. Aging. When you talk about aging, recently read Tortoise was celebrating 190 years, 190 years. they simply stop the aging. Same thing will applicable to any institution if you have visionary leaders and a good administrators with a vision and goals and objectives. This is called strategic formulation. That has to be there. We should look at 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, especially charitable institutions. All other
So
aspects
stop aging, start growing.
start growing,
That's
you
what you
look
want.
at it and your
Yeah, thank you, sir. You have any questions?
I just wanted to ask this. How many organizations you still believe in the extreme speakers? How many organizations extremely you believe in the values which you have worked for values?
See, now I think any of these, when you call it non-profit, what it means is no individual actually gets profit. That's what it means. So I think what you have to strive for is two. One is patient's welfare, and then the employees' welfare. And this is something that has to be there on your mind. When COVID came in, the trust board, we have a trust board, said we have to have pay cuts, 50%. All the corporate hospitals, the hospital that you belong to also, there was a 50% pay cut for all the consultants. I just got up from the meeting and told that if we cannot melt 10 crore rupees and maintain these employees for 1 year, then this hospital would never exist. The so-called non-for-profit hospital paid for the full 2 years, the entire, all the staff members, everything. So now there is such renewed vigor among the employees. So patient welfare, employee welfare are the only two goals for our hospitals at least. Because when you say not for profit, maintain the hospital, expand the hospital, and look after your people.
Same goes for Bhagwan Mahavir Cancer Hospital, sir. Our trustees approved the salary of each employee during COVID period. Not only that, the increments were also doing, and then it is placed on the record. And as he said, staff welfare and patient welfare. These are values.
Sir, namaste to all of you. For me, you're not doctors, you're all Dhanvantaris. Much about your Dhanvantaris. Now, I have two suggestions. Number one, I'm from Agriculture University, a retired professor, and also director of the Institute for Social Economic Change, retired. I just give a panel of the Green Revolution in Agriculture, which basically where the farmers were educated through village extension workers for Green Revolution, both conventional as well as organic farming. Now, similarly, why can't we have in Health Revolution the education of patients? Of course, we are doing through YouTube, through many measures, but hand holding of patients is very important because patients do not know the complex nature of the chemicals, their interactions, etc. So, my first request is any effort, even to convince the government to have a health extension, even personnel, to help especially the cancer patients and also NCDs. Now, number two, my other sincere request is why not we also give importance to phytomedicines or alternative medicines because we don't somehow there is a taboo. Please don't mistake me. There's a taboo. So, but there are many alternative medicines. I remember I have discussed with Dr. Srinath, Simarupa Glaka, which is helping many patients. Number three, I want to, of course, sincerely touch the feet of Dr. Srinath. He helped my sister-in-law to come out of the breast cancer with very, very nominal charge. I do not know how to thank him. Namaste to all of you.
Quickly, answer number one. As everybody put it, even in COVID, not only providing, giving them pay, we had to organize 50% of the beds for COVID. So I created a separate entity for COVID, and to handle those times and get manpower during that time was more difficult than the payment. That's number one. Number two was the question about whether the government or what we are doing for the cancer now. For the cancer now. So what has happened is so far the government was concentrating on the communicable diseases like tuberculosis. Now it has changed to non-communicable diseases. So we are getting some amount of government associated movement ASHA workers and all that, to concentrate on hypertension and diabetes and cancer. They are non-communicable diseases basically. So the education, as we can all as doctors, we are overwhelmed with tertiary care. We are not into primary care at all. We are into treatment. So as to go into prevention, there has to be a movement, as you rightly put it. There has to be a movement from the public and the healthcare workers. So that is coming in. Number three, regarding your the alternative medicines, and we have started, at least in our institute, we have started, drug trials. There is a definitive leap of faith, I would put it, for us as allopathic doctors to accept. No, this is for two reasons. One is there is no standardization. So when there is no standardization, we can't say we are giving X amount of so drug or Y amount of so drug. So trials become very difficult and they become arbitrary. That's if you can come out with standardization what I call it naturoceuticals, then it would make more sense for us to go into trials.
Sir, alternative medicine.
Pay cuts for even staff also as well as consultants also. Secondly, the government was after us to take over the hospital for COVID. So they told us that you vacate all the cancer patients, so we would take over the hospital for COVID patients. Somehow negotiations went out successfully and we could maintain. We said cancer is as bad as COVID, so don't touch the cancer hospital. So they listened. But from our hospital, we gave lot of equipment to the government medical college to look after the COVID patients, like ventilators, monitors, for blood bank plasma apheresis. Equipment was given for almost 6 months to 1 year. Ambulances were running for COVID patients from our hospitals. So we did a lot of things for COVID patients for 1 year without charging anything, and government also appreciated that.
Right. Dr. Rao, you wanted to say something?
Yes, sir. I think you should visit our center, sir, because out of 7 acres, 1 acre is actually for naturopathy, aerobics. One of the biggest gyms in Hyderabad is with us, and it's free for the employees and the patients. The rehabilitation unit. We have a Kerala Ayurveda, Kairali, and naturopathy. All of them in one place. One of the best places in the country actually, and it is within the campus of the hospital.
Yeah. Good. Your question.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Dr. Rakesh Mittal. I am DM Medical Pediatric Oncology. My last assignment was with Tata Hospital at Bharati as the head of medical oncology and the pediatric. So I have just one observation. You are all doing a great work in the country. I have observed that the pediatric oncology is not a focus for many of the hospitals because the volume is very low. But I have a special request for all of you. Now we have many institutions which are producing qualified pediatric oncologists, and there is a DM pediatric oncology who are dedicated to studying for 3 years, and then FNB courses. So we have a fair number of pediatric oncologists. Please try to concentrate on improving scope of pediatric oncology in your hospital, which is a neglected field in many of the hospitals. Thank you very much.
Well, in that aspect, can
It is an organization which is helping a lot of.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying you should employ qualified pediatric
Yes,
oncologists
that is okay.
in your institution, so that because I strongly believe a medical oncologist is not fully qualified to treat child because his focus is on adult oncology.
No, I think that is something that is a work in progress. Most hospitals now are getting into it. So it will just happen, Dr. Mittal.
It is happening in a metro city, but it is not happening in tier 2 or tier 3.
Right.
So the main
what we do
challenge
is,
was the main challenge was availability of consultant.
Yeah.
Not about the facilities. We have created.
No, we don't need much facility.
Yeah, consultant
need
is
a
was
consultant.
and the availability of consultant was the major challenge.
Yeah, so smaller patients, so smaller facility.
Now I think AIMS have started that DM direct pediatric oncology. Now only the education is getting specialized in getting.
Yeah, we'll have one final question because Dr. Srinath will have to speak after this. So I think, please don't worry if you have just one second, sir. All of the questions also will be addressed because the panelists will be there for lunch, so you can exchange your comments on the lunch. So we'll have this final question. Mike Togombadi, officer.
As you are all aware, the money you save is helpful for the organization. Hello? Yeah. See, the money we save is also very helpful for us. Okay. The major thing, what I find in the cancer treatment, the medicines cost very high. But if you see the medicines, there is the costs given to different hospitals are at different rates, basically. And it is again the power of the person who is able to negotiate what he gets. So can there not be a standard wherein you have a particular price which is fixed and any hospital just gets 10 or 15% cut, that is reduced price, so that everybody has a better bargaining power, and second is your patients get benefited.
I don't know if you are a member of NCG or not, sir. Srinath, sir? You are. There is a major effort that is going on. I don't know how. See, we have not participated in it because of other logistic reasons, although we are one of the primary members of the NCG, initial members. But I think regarding the medicines, especially the medical oncology and the machines, the Linacs, there is some major effort that is being done by Dr. Pramesh at Tata Memorial Hospital. So, yes.
Right. Yes, with this we come to the end of the panel discussion. Let's give a round of applause for all the panelists.
And we appreciate the moderator. He was really moderate. That is very important.
Thank you, sir.
And your bass voice was.
Thank you, sir. Really compliment you.
I have a squeaky voice, so I was very.
In fact, we talked about it.
Shukriya, sir. Thank you very much. Now I request Dr. Srinath for your concluding remarks. Yeah.
Please include when we are coming together.
Sir, Dr. Srinath, ನೀವು ಮಾತಾಡೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಶರ್ಮಾ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, please devise another way. Please tell us in your comments, when shall we assemble together once again?
In his place.
Yes.
Thank you.
I must sincerely thank all the panelists for various reasons. They have come all the way from across the country to be with us, to share our joy with them, and also to give them their rich experiences in life in establishing not-for-profit NGO hospitals or whatever. The amount of work that's going on from after hearing them, the amount of work that's going on through these centers is tremendous. There is no doubt that many more such organizations are needed to fill the gap between the corporate and the very poorly equipped government institutions. I would like to touch upon most of the issues have been very educative. I learned a lot from what they actually discussed. It was valuable. So we have carried that with us for our future experiences. Couple of things that I would like to do. What I would like to say, what we have actually started doing now. We had these initial setbacks in terms of funding, in terms of COVID coming in between, and issues like that. And as the hospital was being constructed, most of the staff would not come and join because they wouldn't believe that this hospital would be completed. If we interviewed 10 people for the receptionist, only one would join. Those were the days. I think when you say trust or the faith, it means it's a too important matter to ignore. The hospitals, when they are constructing right from the beginning, they should have these plans of attracting the staff. Today, every week, I get one application for a radiation therapist and another application for a medical oncologist, and many applications for maxillofacial surgeons for our institution. But 8 years ago, I was headhunting all over India, going around talking to everybody. It's very simple. The government has come up with a lot of seats all over the country. Young doctors, dynamic, aggressive, they want to establish their life. They have joined and they have studied, so they are now available. I don't think we will see the problems of medical faculty deficiency in the future, except maybe in pediatric medical oncology, where only 3 institutions in the country are training DM medical oncology. So DM in pediatric oncology, Vellore, All India Institute of Medical Sciences and Tata Memorial Hospital, but all the 3 of them are so well trained that they go away to USA or Australia or anywhere. They are not here. So we will need some more time for the vacancies to fill up, more institutions to come up. The problem is that of technologists, skilled laborers, which actually is very important for an institution. For example, the domestic, the ayahs and ward boys, what we call, the quality of their service actually mean a lot to the patient. Nursing. Sharma Saab said that we should start the nursing, oncology nursing. 4 years ago, we took the step, and first batch of BSc nursing oncology will be coming out this year. The curriculum was actually, although it is as per the National Nursing Council guidelines, we sent the students to other institutions for a short bit of training. But right from the first year, they are taught English language, they are taught ethics, they are taught human behavior and soft skills, and they are taught yoga. And then they are also made to work in the wards right from the second year for 3 next years. This is something that's not written in the curriculum of the nursing, but we have adopted it. Let me tell you, all our girls and boys are coming out with distinctions in the examinations. And they are bold, they are not scared. One of the problems that I faced is this. Can I take another 5 minutes? One of the problems that I faced, which I want to share with you all, was that the nursing, BSc nurses who would just be 21 or 19 or 20 or 21 years would come and join as freshers in our hospital. They see the deaths, they see patients on ventilators, they see on BiPAPs, they see patients struggling in pain. They work for 1 month and run away because of fear. It takes a lot of time for these nurses to get integrated into the system with courage and also imbibe the skills. Not easy at all for girls who come from villages and far off places to a city and then to a hospital like this, which has a super specialty. I think we needed to understand this much earlier. It took time for us to set up a system. So every nurse goes through an induction course before she is posted to the wards in all systems. And then she gets the training, and then she is posted in theater. We had almost 20% of nurses would leave and go away. I think we are very stable now. It is less than 5%. Now, this is one important aspect. The second thing is we are also trying to set up this soft skills training and also training for the technologists. The communication between the technologists, doctors, is extremely important. Biochemistry or pathology or microbiology, much of it is technology driven. The laboratory tests seldom go wrong. The reports are reliable as long as your technique is correct. But the problem happens only in identification of the patient. So the most important thing is to make sure in large scale hospitals, make sure that barcoding is done at the time when the blood is drawn. It is taken to the lab properly, and through that the report is generated. It's not going to create any problem. We do not have problem either with us. But the problems happen in the radiotherapy or in CT or MRI or other areas where the communication between the doctors, the technologists or technicians is incomplete. Passing on the information, if it is incomplete, reporting gets delayed, patients' turnaround time increases, satisfaction dips. So you have the problem of complaints. Largely, patients have tremendous patience because they come to the institutions for treatment. They tolerate us. But it would be one step ahead if we can actually provide them proactively something better than what they are anticipating. We will be the winners because that's very important thing, because ultimately the patient is the master and we are here as a hospitality center in large areas. The third thing is about the, I don't think I have much more to say because everything has been thoroughly discussed. One another thing very important is actually to conduct internal audit. The number of patients may be less or more. Some department may have very few patients. But all the same, a clinical and a management audit every 3 to 4 months is a must. And it should come, it need not be done by experts. It can be done by, a nurse can do the auditing, a clinician can do the auditing, a departmental head can do the auditing. Need not be announced, but they have to be sure that they have done it and they are happy with what's going on. Because it is the data that speaks, which is truth. Everything else is not an objective information. It is subjective. Now in healthcare, we need to be much more objective. This is one thing which we have adopted and we are doing now. NABH actually forced us to take it up. Now I feel that we have done the best thing by getting NABH here. So this is another issue that we need to inculcate in our day-to-day systems, spending little bit of additional money for training or sending them for the training to NABH accreditation. I would prefer, if possible, that every department should have one person who is NABH trained, who can do the assessment. In our institution this year, we have sent 4 people for NABH training. We have about 6 or 7 NABH qualified trainers and assessors in the hospital. Every year, we would like to add 4 more so that each department would be able to take care of the assessment and then maintain the standards of care as well as expertise. I think at the end of 10 years, when we look back, we have had lots of times when we were extremely happy, very few occasions when we were gloomy. That is because one thing was something that was tremendously motivating in this place. Our team, our colleagues, our doctors, our core committee members. Our core committee members are hardly seen here because they think that they have completed their task. Now, let me tell you what the core committee members are. When we started this hospital, we had 5 trustees taken from different walks of life. None of them were doctors other than me. One advocate, one advocate, one social worker, one scientist, something like that. It was just the idea. My idea was to have a cross representation of the whole society. But when we started constructing, we had no ideas because we had the architect giving the information to us, but we wanted to know what's the best thing to do. So I requested eminent people, youngsters in the city who had some vision to work for such a cause, specializing in some areas. Some of them were electricians, electrical engineers, some of them were famous in granite. And there was a there was an MSc geology person who was selling granite, and there was somebody who was a specialist in buying steel, woodwork. So we pooled all of them, about 30 of them, and we would meet every Saturday evening to discuss how to negotiate for each one of our requirements. And you will be surprised. We had the contractor, I think contractor is here, who was very generous with us and he didn't insist on his buying things. And we went out and bought ourselves everything. The tiles, the cement, the steel, everything was purchased. In fact, the granite, we went about 150 kilometers from here. We purchased the huge boulders, transferred it to a cutting machine, got it cut and polished, and we used it for the flooring of the hospital. The one that you are seeing is all what was 130 rupees per square foot, we got it for 60 rupees. Now, I think what it actually means is not to boast anything, but the thing is there is a need for bargaining in everything. Ram Mohan just now said about the medicines. I will come to that in 2 minutes' time. There is a need for bargaining. It is a public money. Somebody has donated, and we should make maximum use of it. There is no need to be grandiose, but there is need to be stringent, prudent monitoring of the expenditures. I think if we can save that, that will be great. Now, as far as pharmaceutical industry, I can talk for hours together. 40 years of my life, I have gone through this. It's a mental turmoil. There is no good government policy as far as pharmaceutical industry is concerned. It is archaic, arbitrary, and it is politically motivated. There is nothing. I can tell you this, all of you know. You will agree with me when I say that there is a chemotherapy drug whose MRP is 11,500 rupees, but I can buy it for 3,500 rupees. I am aghast. The company is making a profit of 3 times or 2.5 times on this. It is inhuman. No hospital, all of us here understand that no hospital can make more than 20% profit. It's a service. It's an industry service. It can't expect huge amounts of profit. Now, how do you actually expect to buy this at this rate of? Another thing, I will tell you this. I had this experience, just an injection which we give for bone strengthening. The MRP price is 2,800 rupees. My purchase price is 204 rupees. And all of you probably are aware of this. And I gave the prescription and I said 10% is our charge, so it is going to be 224 rupees. The patient came back and said, this is a fraud medicine. On that you have written 2,800, you are giving me for 2,204 rupees. Sir, there is something wrong. Either the dose is wrong, I am trying to find out what it is. How do you convince the people? How can you instill faith in you when you have to bargain like this? The government does not have any idea about this. There are issues right from top to bottom. You keep on spending money for some. I can understand if they can make it 40% more than the purchase price. In this hospital, One of the things that we did is to do the costing. Costing prior to procurement. For example, we bought the robotic machine, we waited for 1.5 years. We took 1 year data, tried to convert how many of them really would be in terms of finance, funding, or requirement will deserve robotic surgery. Then we decided when we saw that it is at least about 15 to 20 cases of robotic surgery can be done a month, we procured the machine. Today, we are doing about 30 to 35 cases a month. This is 4 months from the time we procured the machine. This is the 5th month. In the same way, everything is pre-audited before procurement. Costing is done. Fixing the charges for the patients, whether it is in the chemotherapy, daycare chemotherapy, we do the costing and then we put a margin on that and then take the one. So this, even in a cross subsidy model where you would like to attract the rich so that you can pay the poor, a Robin Hood policy, even there I feel these stringent this one are essential. With that, I just say that we had excellent interaction. You have come all the way from various parts of the country. More than that, I feel the Shankara family is really enriched by your presence here. We have a long way to go together. I think we can interact individually, collectively from time to time. I don't mean that we form an association or something like that, but we can always be, we can come to each other's place, send students, set up training programs, and also send our own consultants to go there and learn from you what you have done. I think in the long way, we will all be benefited from this. This was a very important national level symposium. It is not to undermine anything. It was a very good discussion. I am really grateful to all of you for coming today and spending some time. I would request you not to hurry to go back. Please see the hospital. Let us have another 2 or 3 hours of discussion together, informally, in another way, somewhere else in the hospital, comfortably sitting and having a cup of coffee. I think we would love that. And we are. Rao Garu? Flight ఎంత 4:15. అయిపోయా రావు గారికి నా మొదటి నాకు తెలుగండి. And once again, thank you for all the invitees and faculty members. Dr. Mr. B.R. Nagaraj, our trustee, will propose the vote of thanks. And all I request, I'll take a little bit from him and say that lunch is really good. Please don't miss it. Stay with us for the lunch. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to words of thanks. I think Dr. Rao can think of having a quick lunch before leaving.
You're marketing your kitchen also.
No, it is not, actually you will feel. You will regret if you miss it.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay. So, thank you, Dr. Srinath, and good afternoon, everyone. We have come to the end of the event, and I consider it a great honor and privilege to propose on what is it? It's not vote of thanks. What is it? Words of thanks. Sorry, yeah, I stand corrected. Yeah, exactly. On this momentous occasion, we are grateful to Justice Dr. M. N. Venkatachalaya, former Chief Justice of India, for being a constant source of inspiration for all of us, and we are enriched by his wisdom. Thank you, sir, for gracing this occasion and guiding us as always. We express our gratitude to Srimati Sushmita Bagchi and Sri Shukta Bagchi for the valuable insights on your journey Thank you for agreeing to be a part of Sri Shankara Cancer Foundation family, and we seek your continued support, guidance in all the endeavors of Sri Shankara Cancer Foundation Research Hospital. Thanks to all the delegates. Indeed, it has been an invigorating discussion. There's a lot that we all learned from each one of you. And again, I shouldn't be boasting. I shouldn't be telling about it. We have a visionary leader. We have learned a lot from Dr. Srinath. Whatever that we discuss here, so probably I think, with his rich experience, I think most of it is implemented, and we will still continue to learn from each other. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming here. Our sincere thanks to Dr. B.S. Srinath, Managing Trustee, for his vision, mentorship. We are grateful to you for the guidance and support in growing the activities of Sri Shankara Cancer Foundation, sir. I'm also thankful to the Ethics Committee and various committees for guiding the institution and supporting in the growth of the Sri Shankara Cancer Foundation Research Hospital. We are fortunate to have eminent and renowned doctors, scientists, researchers, and academicians and professionals from industry with us today. We look forward to having more interactions in the near future with regards to research, patient care, knowledge transfer, etc. We've been fortunate to have been backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated, committed doctors, research staff, nursing staff, administrative staff. Thanks to the trustees and core committee members for all the guidance and support in planning the celebrations and in the growth of Sri Shankara Cancer Foundation's activities. I take this opportunity to thank the print and the digital media for the support in publicizing the event. Kudos and congrats to the various planning and organizing committees within the Sri Shankara Cancer Foundation Research Hospital, volunteers and support staff as well, and the audience for the support. Thanks to Sri Shankar Prakash for anchoring this program. Indeed, it's wonderful. And again, I just want to add one thing is we are extremely fortunate to get Shankar Prakash here. He is one of the best anchors that we have in the country today, and then he anchors programs for the President of India, the Prime Minister of India, and incidentally, he's also a very good commentator. Thank you, Shankar Prakash, for accepting again, thanks to our caterers for providing us delicious food, which Dr. Srinath already stole the thunder, and you will all experience it very soon. Yeah, and it's an exhaustive list, and then I do not know whether I have made justice in acknowledging everyone. Again, if I have missed everyone, my sincere apologies on that. And let me wish you all a very happy Independence Day in advance. Lunch has been arranged on the 7th floor, and then we'll all have lunch together. So again, thanks again for coming. Jai Hind. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I think one thing I missed is that we have mementos for each one of you, and each one is a lot of effort has been put in by the entire team here in preparing all this. So, may I request Dr. Srinath to hand over the mementos.
ಎಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.